Breaking news, Viking Nation, the storm is gathering over US Bank Stadium. And what you're about to hear will shake everything you thought you knew about this franchise. A genius head coach just unlocked a secret weapon that could change the entire season. A star receiver crossed the line, got benched, then delivered redemption in the most dramatic way possible. A cornerback signed for pocket change is now playing like a Hall of Famer and making the entire league look foolish. An offensive mastermind is finally solving the puzzle that haunted this team for years. And a running back who once threw touchdowns in high school was standing by with a helmet and a dream, ready to take over at quarterback if chaos struck in London. Each of these shocks, every single one of them, could redefine the future of the Minnesota Vikings. And if you love this team more than you hate the Packers, you need to hear every word, because the first revelation is about to detonate, and it starts with the man calling the plays, the architect behind the Purple Storm, and a strategy shift that might just be the key to unlocking a championship run this season. Hold on tight, because this ride through the latest Vikings news is going to be wild, emotional, and absolutely unmissable. If you're ready to witness the truth, if you're ready to see what makes this team unstoppable even when the world counts them out, then you better smash that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me you bleed purple and gold, and hit subscribe, because missing what comes next would be the biggest mistake a Vikings fan could make. Let's go. Well, here's where it gets real, where the brilliance of Kevin O'Connell starts to shine through like a beacon in the frozen tundra. The head coach, the offensive genius who took this franchise by storm when he arrived, has made a fundamental shift in his play calling over the last 3 games. And the numbers don't lie. They scream the truth into the faces of every doubter who ever questioned his ability to adapt. We're talking about the quick game, passes released in under 2.5 seconds, the kind of lightning-fast decision-making that turns defenses into statues and offensive lines into fortresses. And listen closely, because when J.J. McCarthy started the season, before the ankle injury that sidelined him for 3 straight games, the quick game wasn't the focus, and the results showed it. McCarthy had only 7 dropbacks in less than 2.5 seconds across those first 6 games, completing 5 of them for just 32 yards and 1 interception. And his EPA per play was a devastating negative 1.48, dead last among all starting quarterbacks in the entire NFL. But then came the switch. The moment O'Connell realized that with an offensive line decimated by injuries, with Christian Darrisaw missing time and for other starters out at various points, the Vikings needed to operate faster, smarter, more efficiently than ever before. Enter Carson Wentz, the veteran signal caller who stepped in and executed the new philosophy with surgical precision. Over the last 3 games, Wentz has dropped back 58 times and taken exactly 0 sacks. Not a single one, because the ball is out of his hands before the pass rush even arrives. His EPA per play sits at 0.5, ranking 11th in the entire NFL, ahead of big names like Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott. And he's completed 44 of 58 passes for 387 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, even when Wentz has had to hold the ball longer than 2.5 seconds. Facing 12 sacks and 29 pressures across 53 dropbacks, he's still found a way to be efficient, ranking 14th in EPA per play, just ahead of Lamar Jackson himself. The genius of this shift is that it changes how defenses approach the Vikings offense entirely. The threat of quick strikes forces cornerbacks to play tighter, safeties to creep up, linebackers to hesitate, and suddenly those deep shots down the field, the ones that Justin Jefferson lives for, become even more dangerous because the defense is caught cheating forward. Against the Steelers, there were multiple opportunities for deep passes that didn't connect due to external factors, but the strategy was sound, the plan was working, and when McCarthy returns, and he will return, this quick game philosophy will still be there, maximized to fit his strengths, designed to keep him upright, healthy, and delivering strikes with precise footwork and clean mechanics. This isn't just a band-aid solution for injuries, Viking Nation. This is Kevin O'Connell evolving his offense, building an identity that can thrive no matter who's under center, no matter who's blocking up front. And if you believe this team is more dangerous than the Packers have ever been, if you trust in O'Connell's vision more than you fear Aaron Rodgers' ghost in Green Bay, then you need to let the world know by dropping a comment and hitting that subscribe button, because loyalty to the purple and gold means showing up when it matters most. And just when fans thought the drama couldn't get any deeper, here comes the next bombshell. And this one cuts straight to the heart of accountability, redemption, and what it means to wear the purple and gold. Jordan Addison, the explosive second-year wide receiver who's supposed to be the perfect complement to Justin Jefferson, found himself benched for the entire first quarter of the Vikings' victory over the Cleveland Browns in London. And the reason wasn't an injury, wasn't a tactical decision. It was discipline, pure and simple. Addison missed a team meeting, a mandatory appearance that every single player is expected to attend, and Kevin O'Connell made the call that had to be made, sitting his talented receiver on the sideline while the offense took the field without him. That kind of thing is not up to our standards, O'Connell said after the game, his voice calm but firm, the kind of tone that leaves no room for debate. But here's where the story takes a turn, where the narrative shifts from punishment to redemption, because Addison didn't sulk, didn't complain, didn't let his mistake define him. He stood in front of his teammates during a meeting and apologized, owned his error, and promised them he'd be ready when his number was called. And when that moment came, when the Vikings needed a spark in the fourth quarter to put away the Browns, Addison delivered the touchdown that sealed the victory, a catch that was part athletic brilliance, part poetic justice. "I never want to let my teammates down," Addison said afterward, the weight of the moment clear in his words. "They're always there for me, so I'm going to make sure I'm always there for them. When they needed me, I was there." Justin Jefferson, the leader of this receiving corps and one of the best players in the entire league, didn't let the moment pass without addressing it. He spoke about taking Addison under his wing, about being a stronger mentor, about recognizing that talent alone isn't enough if you don't have the maturity and discipline to match. "It's a tough situation," Jefferson admitted. "I definitely already talked to y'all, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to growing up and being a part of the team, acknowledging your mistakes, and knowing that you're a valuable part of the team. It's more about the team and us as a whole, not focusing individually on y'all." But for him to come out with all of that and still be able to make plays and finish the game with a touchdown to put us ahead, it was like it was meant to happen. And that's the kind of culture O'Connell is building, one where mistakes have consequences, but where redemption is always possible, where accountability matters, but where love and support matter even more. But let's not overlook the other heroes of that London game, because while Addison was grabbing headlines, the offensive line was quietly pulling off one of the most impressive performances of the entire season. The Vikings were down to just one healthy starting offensive lineman, Will Fries, and they had to piece together a patchwork group that included Walter Rouse, Blake Brandel switching to center, Joe Huber, and Justin Skull, who moved from right tackle to left tackle mid-game when Christian Darrisaw exited. And who were they facing? Only Myles Garrett, arguably the most dominant defensive end in the world, a man who destroys quarterbacks for a living. But Skull, a backup thrust into the fire, held Garrett to just two pressures across 35 pass rushes, a performance so impressive that Carson Wentz couldn't stop praising him, going from right tackle to left tackle against the best defensive end in the world. "The way Justin did it is unbelievable," Wentz said, while coming in at the end of the game playing right tackle, Blake playing a new position at center. "The way the guys stepped up and gave me chances to find these guys open downfield was incredible." As for Darrisaw, he clarified that his exit wasn't due to a new injury, or rather him just listening to his body as he continues to adjust to the workload. Following last year's ACL and MCL surgery, it's the kind of precautionary move that shows maturity, that shows a player thinking long-term, because this team needs Darrisaw healthy for a playoff push, not risking everything in Week 5. So ask yourself, Viking Nation, how many teams in this league could lose for starters on the offensive line, face one of the most fearsome pass rushers alive, and still come away with a victory on foreign soil? How many teams have a receiver who gets benched and responds with a game-winning touchdown? If that kind of resilience, that kind of heart, that kind of purple pride makes you believe this team is built different, then you need to show it right now by liking this video and letting everyone know the Vikings are coming. Stay with me, because what comes next will flip the script in ways nobody predicted, and it involves a player who was signed for what can only be described as highway robbery, a steal so outrageous that General Manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah should be arrested for larceny. Isaiah Rodgers, the cornerback who joined the Vikings on a 2-year contract worth just $11 million, with a max value of $15 million, is currently playing at an elite level that makes that contract look like one of the best bargains in the entire NFL. We're talking about a player who's posting a PFF grade of 82.2, making him the third best cornerback in the league. and a coverage grade of 86.1, which ranks him first, number 1, the absolute best in the entire NFL. Let that sink in for a moment. The Vikings are paying Rodgers just $3.6 million this season and $7.4 million next season. And he's playing like a Pro Bowler, like an All-Pro, like someone who should be commanding $20 million per year on the open market. His stat line through 5 games is absurd: 19 tackles, 1 interception returned for a touchdown, to passes defended, to forced fumbles, and to total defensive touchdowns. That's right, to touchdowns, the kind of game-changing, momentum-shifting plays that defensive coordinators dream about. Rodgers is operating on a level that recalls another Vikings bargain signing from recent history, Andrew Van Ginkel, the linebacker who came to Minnesota on a modest 2-year, $20 million deal and proceeded to dominate so thoroughly that he earned a Pro Bowl selection, a second-team All-Pro nod, and finished 7th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Van Ginkel's performance was so far above his contract value that the Vikings had to give him a 1-year, $20-3 million extension just to make things right. And now Rodgers is walking that same path, playing so far above his pay grade that it's only a matter of time before contract discussions begin. Both players came to Minnesota largely due to the recommendation of defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Both had shown flashes of potential across 5-year NFL careers without fully establishing themselves as full-time starters, and both agreed to solid 2-year contracts that looked like fair deals at the time, but now appear to be absolute steals. For someone like Adolfo Mensa, a general manager obsessed with generating positive value, with finding market inefficiencies and exploiting them, Rodgers' performance is the ultimate victory. This is a player with historic speed, someone whose 40-yard dash time ranks among the fastest in NFL history, and he's using every bit of that speed to blanket receivers, to jump routes, to create havoc in opposing backfields. He's played 114 snaps on the outside, 53 in the slot, 19 in the box, and he's been exceptional in every alignment, versatile and dominant in equal measure. Rodgers will turn 28 in January, meaning this is the prime of his career, the time when elite cornerbacks command top dollar, and he's already on his 3rd NFL team. So you know he's thinking about securing a massive payday while the opportunity is there. The Vikings will be more than willing to discuss an extension if this level of excellence continues, because finding cornerback play this good, this consistent, this game-changing is nearly impossible in today's NFL. But for now, for this season, Minnesota is reaping the rewards of a contract that looks more like theft than negotiation. And if you're a Vikings fan who believes Isaiah Rodgers is playing better than any cornerback in Green Bay, better than anyone the Bears can throw out there, better than anything Detroit has in their secondary, then you need to make your voice heard by smashing that subscribe button and letting the world know the Vikings secondary is elite. But hold on, as shocking as that is, the next update cuts even deeper, because it reveals that Kevin O'Connell isn't just adapting to injuries. He's actively improving in an area that has been a thorn in the side of this franchise for far too long. We're talking about short yardage situations, those 3rd and 1, 4th and inches moments where games are won and lost, where offenses prove their physicality, their creativity, their will to dominate. And the truth is, the Vikings have struggled in these spots this season, ranking 26th in the NFL in 3rd or 4th down, at short situations with a conversion rate of just 52.6%, well below the league average of 61.7%. On running plays in short yardage, the Vikings are converting 5 of 8 attempts for 62.5%, slightly below the league average of 6 to 7.9%. On passing plays in those same situations, they're converting just 4 of 8 for 50%, also below the league average of 56.1%. Last season, Minnesota ranked 13th in the NFL with a short yardage conversion rate of 60.9%, which was respectable, but still left room for improvement, especially considering their red zone touchdown rate ranked 19th, a clear indication that situational execution needed to be better. This year, with all the injuries ravaging the offensive line, those short yardage struggles have persisted, making it even more critical for O'Connell to scheme his way out of the problem, and that's exactly what he's been doing. The play designs coming out of O'Connell's mind have been getting progressively sharper, more creative, more difficult to defend. Against the Browns, There was a brilliant play where O'Connell released tight end T.J. Hockenson on a pick route, designed to create separation in the flat. The Browns were playing man coverage, and Hockenson got wide open, but Carson Wentz hesitated, didn't trust his eyes, and the play ended in a sack instead of a first down, with J.J. McCarthy likely returning in Week 7 against the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a strong belief that the young quarterback will be more willing to trust what he sees, to pull the trigger on those tight window throws, to execute the plays exactly as they're drawn up. But O'Connell didn't stop there. On the final drive against Cleveland, facing a critical third and short, he called a play that put Jordan Addison in jet motion, creating traffic in the defense that prevented the cornerback in man coverage from staying with him. The result was an easy throw, an easy catch, and a crucial first down that kept the game-winning drive alive. It's the kind of intelligent, layered design that makes defenses look foolish, that makes quarterbacks look confident, that makes an offense hum even when it's missing key personnel. The Vikings haven't been making enough easy plays this season, haven't been putting their skill players in enough positions to succeed, without having to win one-on-one battles. But over the last 3 weeks, there's been a noticeable uptick in those types of plays. The kind of scheming that gets receivers open quickly, that simplifies reads for the quarterback, that turns short yardage situations from coin flips into near certainties. Add to that a much healthier offensive line coming out of the bye week. Assuming guys like Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, and others can get back to full strength, and the Vikings could be positioned to dominate those critical moments in the second half of the season. And if you're a Vikings fan who believes that O'Connell's offensive mind is sharper than Matt LaFleur's in Green Bay, more creative than anyone in Chicago, more dangerous than what Detroit is running, then prove it by dropping a like and hitting that subscribe button. Because this is your team, this is your moment, and the world needs to know the Vikings are built for a deep playoff run. And listen closely, because the night isn't over. Because the next headline is pure shock and it's heading straight for us, a story so wild, so unexpected, that it feels like something out of a movie script. Picture this: the Vikings are in London preparing to face the Cleveland Browns, and they're down to just two available quarterbacks, Carson Wentz and undrafted rookie Max Brosmer, because J.J. McCarthy is inactive with an ankle injury and the team had released Desmond Ridder just 48 hours before kickoff. That's a razor-thin margin for error, the kind of situation that keeps coaches up at night. Because if both quarterbacks go down with injuries, what do you do? Who takes the snaps? Who runs the offense? Kevin O'Connell had an answer, and it wasn't what anyone expected. Running back Cam Akers, a player known for his speed, his vision, his ability to cut through defenses, was designated as the emergency quarterback, complete with a helmet fitted with speakers so he could hear the play calls. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because Akers actually threw a pass in that game, a 32-yard touchdown strike to tight end Josh Oliver on a trick play. That left the Browns defense looking foolish. It was a perfectly executed play-action fake, a smooth rollout, and a confident throw that hit Oliver in stride for 6 points. When reporters asked Akers about it afterward, his responses were pure gold. He told me he was going to call it. Akers said about O'Connell, "I didn't know when, obviously, but they called it, and me and Josh Oliver were ready." When asked how long he'd had the play in his back pocket, Akers replied, "Probably 2 days. Just since Thursday, Thursday." And when pressed about whether he felt comfortable, Akers delivered a line that drips with confidence. "I can do anything on the grass, man, anything on the grass." So yes, Cam Akers was the emergency quarterback, standing by with a helmet and a dream, ready to take over if disaster struck. And it's not like this was a random decision, because Akers has a legitimate quarterback background. In high school, he played the position, and he was a 5-star recruit, ranked as the 7th best overall prospect in the nation by 247 Sports. He threw for 3,128 yards with 31 touchdowns, and ran for 2,105 yards with 34 touchdowns on the ground, earning Mississippi Gatorade Player of the Year honors as a senior in 2016. This is a man who understands how to read defenses, how to throw with touch, how to operate under pressure, even if he hasn't done it professionally. When asked how much practice he'd had at quarterback recently, Akers was blunt: "0. It's all about being ready, preparation. I was ready." That's the mentality of a champion, the mindset of a player who refuses to be caught off guard, who will do whatever it takes to help his team win. But what about the quarterback situation moving forward? Viking Nation, Carson Wentz injured his left shoulder in the second quarter against the Browns, and while he played through it and led the game-winning drive, Kevin O'Connell confirmed on Monday that Wentz was sore, and his status for the October 19th game against Philadelphia remains uncertain. Meanwhile, J.J. McCarthy is ramping up his workload this week, and O'Connell expects him to have a full week of practice next week, which could put him in line to return as the starter against the Eagles. That said, O'Connell hasn't made any official announcements, and we probably won't get clarity until next week at the earliest. Max Brosmer is healthy, so the only scenario where Akers would be the emergency quarterback again is if both Wentz and McCarthy are unavailable, which seems unlikely but not impossible. But here's the real question. What does all of this say about the Vikings' mentality, their preparation, their willingness to think outside the box and embrace chaos when necessary? This is a team that refuses to make excuses, refuses to let injuries derail their season, refuses to accept anything less than victory no matter how many obstacles are thrown in their path. And if you believe that kind of resilience, that kind of creativity, that kind of warrior mentality makes the Vikings more dangerous than any team in the NFC North, then you need to prove it right now by smashing that like button, dropping a comment telling me the Vikings are Super Bowl bound, and hitting that subscribe button, because this is the kind of content you can't afford to miss. And if this week felt like an earthquake, what's coming next could be the aftershock that topples the whole season, because the Minnesota Vikings are sitting at 3 and heading into their bye week, and the trajectory of this team is pointing straight up despite all the adversity they faced. Think about everything they've overcome. 10 starters missing significant time due to injuries, an offensive line that's been held together with duct tape and prayers, a starting quarterback sidelined with an ankle injury, a star receiver benched for discipline then delivering the game winner, a cornerback playing like an all-pro on a bargain contract, a head coach evolving his scheme in real time to adapt to circumstances, and a running back standing by to play quarterback if necessary. This is not a team that folds under pressure, Viking Nation. This is a franchise that thrives in chaos, that finds ways to win even when logic says they shouldn't, that embodies the warrior spirit of the purple and gold. Kevin O'Connell is proving why he's one of the brightest offensive minds in the NFL, why he's the kind of leader players will run through walls for, why the Vikings made the right call hiring him, his play calling adjustments, his willingness to embrace the quick game, his improvements in short yardage situations, his ability to keep this offense functional despite missing key pieces. All of it speaks to a coach who's not just surviving but thriving. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is proving his analytical approach works, that finding value in free agency, that identifying players like Isaiah Rodgers and Andrew Van Ginkel before the rest of the league catches on, that building through smart decisions rather than splashy signings is a formula for sustained success. Brian Flores' defense is bending but not breaking, creating turnovers, hitting pressure, playing with the kind of aggression that makes offenses uncomfortable, and the players, from Justin Jefferson's leadership to Jordan Addison's redemption to Carson Wentz's grit, to that patchwork offensive line's heroics, are buying in completely, trusting the process, believing in each other even when the world doubts them. When J.J. McCarthy returns, and he will return, this offense is going to be even more dangerous because the foundation has been laid, the identity has been established, and the young quarterback will step into a system that's humming, that's confident, that knows how to win. The NFC North is wide open, and while the Lions and Packers and Bears all have their own narratives, none of them have shown the kind of resilience, the kind of adaptability, the kind of pure heart that the Vikings have displayed. This team is built for a playoff run, built to withstand adversity, built to shock the world when everyone counts them out. And if you believe that, if you feel it in your bones the way I do, then you need to make your voice heard right now. Drop a like on this video if you believe the Vikings are going to win the NFC North. Leave a comment telling me which player you're most excited about for the rest of the season. Whether it's J.J. McCarthy's return, Isaiah Rodgers' dominance, Jordan Addison's redemption arc, or Kevin O'Connell's genius play calling. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the Viking season is just getting started and the best is yet to come. Think this was wow? Just wait until the rivals make their counter move, because that war is only beginning and the Vikings are ready for battle. Because if you thought this was the peak of chaos, the real avalanche is just starting, and you're going to want to be here for every single moment. Skol Vikings, let's make this season one for the history books.